So now we're here with the greatness that is Chanel Ham, the leader of Black Lives Matter Louisville.
Come on.
I know.
Yes.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's my first time here. What do y'all do?
We talk about sports.
Oh, okay.
And all sports related to Louisville and the nation. And the state of Kentucky, too, sometimes.
Yeah, be
We can
talking
Kentucky.
about all of it.
We talk about everything. But not just sports. We also talk about things like housing initiatives. Tell us more.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
And welcome back. Chanel's just arriving back from South Africa. I've been to Ghana before. I went to Ghana on my honeymoon.
I want to go there.
It's very nice. We went to Accra.
South Africa is very different.
Yes, indeed.
Different.
Yes, indeed. South Africa is for a lot of people that don't know, is a very what's the word I'm looking for? Developed place. In some of the bigger cities is very developed.
Yeah,
as opposed to what some of our conceptions are. Johannesburg is like a metropolis, but some people would never know that. So.
Yeah.
Do your research.
South Africa is a first nation. It's a developed nation. But I think what people have to understand the context of what South Africa is. I know we watch, Shaka Zulu and all those things and trying to realize what imperialism is. But it is the home to systemic racism. This is where it was taught.
Apartheid.
Thank you. I know a lot of people are like, oh, racism is a mental illness. It is not. It was taught. And they also started eugenics there. And so we went to a conference called Recognition, Reparations, and Reconciliation. We thought we were going to really converse with folks that are really serious about reparations and understanding reconciliation, because it's hard for us to understand. It's also hard for South Africans to understand, because if people don't know that the Truth and Reconciliations weren't voted on, it was just like popular folks like Archbishop Desmond Tutu and Nelson Mandela that were like, this is what we should do, and everybody else was like, ski skirt? No. So they're still dealing and reeling with that. We were in Stellenbosch. That's where everything went down. There's still plantations there. They call them estates. If you don't know, it's wine country, and it's cute. They got their little white buildings everywhere with their little white colonizers. And it was very traumatizing.
Wow.
It was traumatizing because
really?
The conference was not what we thought it was. We made it what it should be, of course, because we ain't getting ready to get somewhere and then shit gets fucked up. Oh, can we cuss?
Not really, but continue.
Oh, okay, sorry. There was a lot of people that were just giving their presentations on some papers and scholarly articles. So the intellectual
journal entries and such.
Thank you.
Right.
And that's exactly what it was. And we were just like,
let's make it real.
Right. And so it got real. Some Black Americans came. They were going to talk about racism in the university, and one of them was not allowed in because a colored person. And I want people to understand, the racial spectrum in South Africa is still very much alive. It's like a caste system. White people are at the top. Indian folks are in the middle, and then colored folks are in the middle, kind of like your Southeast Asians and mixed folks, etc. Haven and I would be considered colored in some places. You would still be considered Black and African, and so
right on.
Yes.
You be white.
Yeah, right. Rashawn would be the barge.
I know.
He would be the barge for the rest of his life.
He had his own color.
He's the barge.
Chico.
Gave him Chico. That played out, and the person that turned in the Black American for being a terrorist was a colored person. And so they had a white person search them, and it's just so traumatizing. And so the group was just like, we're not going to present because you're not worthy. And we stood in solidarity with them. And I was just like, the only thing that we could do was hold some space for us. And I called it the Black Caucus. It was the first time at that conference that they had space for specific people of race.
Wow.
And so it was really interesting that they hadn't done that before, given that all the different Black people were there as a part of these trauma-induced conversations. What it's like to apologize to officers who literally murdered leaders with the ANC. The ANC was the Black group that was fighting against apartheid radically, and some of the people had to describe what it was like to forgive them, given that they had lived in apartheid their entire life. For folks who don't realize, apartheid ended in 1994, and so we're just living like those 20 years afterwards. For us, it would be like those 20 years after slavery,
right.
So the Reconstruction era. Except you're in a country where black folks and Africans are the majority, and they still are without. There's a class issue now.
Right.
So the person that was in charge of the conference is a black middle-class woman, and it's just like Pamela, because her name is not Pamela, but I had to start calling her Pamela. I was just like, you have to understand what it is to be a black American and continually keep getting erased. And so that's where we were with our trauma. There were plenty of us there with our group. You have a whole panel of folks who are literally being called terrorists. One of their folks can't even present because you have barred him from the conference. And you just think like we're getting ready to go on about the rest of our day. Now, I know that's different for black Africans, but for us it was like, nah, player, that's not what's getting ready to happen. The other black Africans that were there were students. So it was hard for them. And if folks haven't been paying attention for the last like 3 years, South Africa popped off the dopest student protest called Fees Must Fall.
I'm sorry, can you state that again?
Fees must fall, like the fees that you go to school for.
Okay, fees.
They believe, one, that it's reparations, that they should be able to go to school for free.
Okay.
But
I'm with that.
Each school, like University of Cape Town had Fees Must Fall, Rothschild had Fees Must Fall, Stellenbosch, which is home to eugenics, home to like experimenting on black people, they asked for it to be open. They received harsh punishments. We're talking about like criminal charges. We're talking about like erasure of their work. So like one of the girls really didn't want to speak out because they had already erased her work a whole year, so she had to take a whole nother year.
Wow.
One of the most startling confessions that they told us was that their friends are killing themselves. So people are dying by suicide through the education system, and we're just like, at the secondary level, because of the protest around stating that they weren't getting ready to pay any more fees, and the fees were too damn high. And so it's a lot. It was a lot.
So you're saying some of the people who are engaging or participating in these protests are turning up dead, and it's being said that these are suicides.
It's what it's being said.
Okay.
And so that's the discussion we had with the students. We were like, we wouldn't really take that for face value, just because, we've seen what happens to black folks when they do resistance, regardless of where we are, regardless of our numbers. We come up dead, but the fight is way more important because you set up for your future, you set up for a legacy. So they are some of the dopest young people that I've ever met that's doing this work. They are so brilliant. They're so brilliant that the schools cannot deny them free tuition. A lot of them are on scholarships and still live in townships. And if people don't know what townships are, they're just shanty towns, 10 houses all crammed together in the middle of these cities, outside of like all this land. And so please pay attention to South Africa. Land grabs are coming up. It should be interesting because the party in place did not set up the land grabs, and they're trying to use it as a political ploy. So everything's, well in context with capitalism. Good old capitalism.
Yeah, we know what that looks like. So
yes, we do.
Oh wow, you had a
very interesting.
I wanted to ask about your trip to South Africa. Now, man, that's deep. Because I knew about the caste system, and I knew, some of those things already. But what's going on in universities with fees and trying to get reparations, especially since apartheid just ended in 1994. That is just like, it's almost mind-blowing in a way. It's like the year I graduated, 2 years after I graduated high school, like slavery ended in South Africa.
I entered high school in 1994.
Right. Yeah, it's just, it's just really kind of crazy to think about it, with those terms. And, I remember reading about Nelson Mandela and the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, which I always thought was like a bold step. Because I don't know, like, if I had been underneath apartheid, could I go to court, sit there and watch a parade of folks come through and confess everything they did and then everything be okay?
You hear me?
That would be, like, incredibly hard to have, like, the list of the person after person come down to about I killed this person.
I kind of beg to differ because we've done it here in this country several times and still continue to do it.
Nobody apologized here. It was like, you be all right.
No, yeah, they literally allowed them to tell their crimes and they got off scot-free.
Again, that's happened here in this country.
I don't know if people like really understand apartheid. We haven't had anything like apartheid. Apartheid was mass genocide of black people. It wasn't just like segregation and kind of what we see in the Jim Crow. Like the level at which the violence that took place against Africans and apartheid was oh shit. And then Rwanda and the genocide happened there. It was the same. What was disgusting and that just ate at my stomach while I was there was they remade the Land Rovers that they used back in the day. So like like the old school Jeeps we have. And
the Defenders, the Land Rover Defenders.
Yeah, Wranglers and stuff. And so so those old school Land Rovers with the boxy.
Yeah, the Defenders. Yeah.
Yeah, they use those to like run down people in the street. They use those to take the tires off of them and throw them on people's heads and light them on fire. It's a certain technique that they use. And they use bulldozers to go into the shanty towns, and like these are really close housing complexes, and literally just mass bulldozers, 10, 20 at a time, to just run over people in the shanty towns. We're talking about like a mass genocide. What we see here is us fighting legislatively, which is cute, but we also forget that we have a radical side to us that actually got us to like where we're at. Being able to produce media here, being able to like call out the police, that's still something that'll get you killed in South Africa.
Right. Well, no. Again, and I'm not in no way downplaying that, but I don't want us to, understate just how traumatic the slavery was here. So let's keep that in mind too. And we've had things similar to that happen here, like Rosewood, to where our own government has turned against us as a community and as a people. So let's, I just don't want anybody out there listening in to think that we're kind of downplaying some of the things that we've experienced here in the United States relative to what she's saying, but she's just kind of drawing a comparison. So I just wanted to say that.
So now, so since you came back from your trip now you're trying to get another drink, we'll get you one, don't worry about it. We got you. So,
camera over
yeah, we got Facebook.
Yeah, you have a camera.
You got two cameras on you. So since you took your trip from South Africa, you came back. So tell us a little bit about what you're doing now with the housing initiative.
Oh, okay. So like everybody from the West and anywhere we see vacant housing, we just think it's just absolutely absurd that we have like such a phenomenal houseless rate. And I guess people think it's like a sight to see to keep going down Preston and all those overpasses where people have built camps at. And you know what, in a way, legitimately have the right to build those camps there. But we have so many vacant and abandoned houses in West Louisville that are just sitting there.
Over 5,000.
We keep way over 5,000. And we just continue to keep making excuses for them. Oh, families, there's liens and there's all these things. The houses are physical. The people are alive. Put them in the damn houses. So, I mean, that's just what everybody has been saying. That's what our community says. We don't know why people are getting put out when there's literally houses right there. Somebody can get the money and do the houses. So we was like, let's just do it. Let's just put people in houses. There's certain populations of people that we know need to have housing. There's emergency housing. That's something that we have always thought about doing with women in transition, because we service mothers who were about to get their children taken away, people calling CPS on people because they don't have, and we need people to stop that. At any time you can have your child, you can have CPS called on you. So like, stop using that as a weapon. Stop calling the police on people. Stop calling the police on houseless people. So they need emergency housing because people are coming from domestic violence situations. People are like fleeing for their lives from different places, and we're creating more trauma by calling in people who don't understand that shit. I'm sorry. We also are looking at what communal space looks like I'm a geographer, so this is where I get a lot of like how things can move and how things can transform. So we have these major thoroughfares, and for a while, like West Louisville is really residential, but we cannot ignore that the city owes us. The city owes us reparations, mega time, because they took away and joyously took away our economic center. And so we've had to make like these makeshift economic centers on these major thoroughfares, and it doesn't work with the mixed place of like commercial and residential. At some point, we've got to be able to turn like what's on the major thoroughfares into commercial space so that we can have those stores to be there, and they can happen. But what we're not doing is offering that to the people who own those homes, or being able to go ahead and take those homes and transform them. What we rather do is be like, people ain't taking care of their homes, so we're going to charge people who don't live there. We're getting ready to put liens on homes that can easily be only attributed to an account and not necessarily the house and the physical space. And we're willing to allow slumlords to put people out because they're not willing to fix their homes. And so there's a lot of accountability that the city needs help with. They love to steal stuff, so why don't you steal the right accountability method and trying to make up like ways for people to have to pay you for stuff that you're not doing. And we know that the city's not doing anything.
Right.
So now the mayor wants to come up with $140 million to redo the streets on Broadway, but what, you going to make pretty sidewalks instead in front of vacant housings and homeless people?
Yeah, something
that shit don't make sense. You know what I'm saying? So we're hoping that people, we love that one that Michael Jones wrote the initial article with Insider Louisville that like put all of this on the map. Literally, it went viral. And like our folks with BLM everywhere, all of our radical people, we've always been talking about how we're going to free the land that's owed to us because we work the land. That RBG is real, blood, sweat, and tears. But also that green stands for land, and how we going to get it, and how we going to take our shit back. And so we have to be realistic about what is owed to us as Louisvillians. We also have to be realistic what is owed to us as Kentuckians. And I'm talking about black Kentuckians. I'm talking about the people who actually built this. Now, I've looked up my family, and I don't know if everybody else has. And if you haven't, you need to.
I'm 7 generations back.
Come on.
My research,
you hear me? We're owed a lot. And so to have, like, not only us, but to have most of our folks just be out here and be without, is not getting ready to take place. So we communally raise funds. Individuals give us money. And that's how we were able to buy our first home. Got really lucky with that. It's very stable and everything. We're doing really well with that. We're not going to be cheap with putting stuff in there because that's how people are ending up in the situations. Slumlords want to buy like cheap toilets, cheap pipes and stuff like that, and it's not sustainable. I think what also is missing from our communities is understanding what sustainability is. It's not just being cheap. Thank you, Reed. It's not just being cheap. It's about being able to live healthy in homes, and you can't do that if you're worrying about if your toilet is going to overflow. You can't worry about that if the roof is getting ready to leak again. You can't worry about if mold is going to be set up in the walls. So we're doing all of that. We've put insulation in the walls. Now the city wants to make us get a permit because we demoed the walls. That's dumb. We are making sure that we take down like some invasive trees. And put up some like nice plants that are native to here. I know a lot of people are like, what does that mean? But it does a lot for you when you, it does a lot for you when you have like native plants around you. We are also not being cheap with the decorations on the inside, so we're always going to use bamboo floors because there's a lot of mamas, and we know kids be messing up some floors.
So true.
We already have a few building supplies. Some of our building supplies got stolen a while back, so that's why we really need to maintain fundraising. We had sinks and all type of stuff that we got from an auction.
Because you guys had raised almost like $10,000 for
that first
that first go around for building supplies. You had them stored, and somebody broke into your storage shed and stole.
Oh, that happens. Trust
our
me.
garage. You feel me? Yeah, and we're like the only house on our block that got the stuff stolen. So we know either somebody knew that they were there, because we definitely aren't the people that's like, look at our shit. You know what I'm saying? No,
right.
We don't do that. Somebody knew that they were there and took those building supplies, and they know what those building supplies were for.
Right.
So we've been raising the money back. We've just now been able to like get steady to where we need to be at, so I can look for some more, because I'm all about the bargains, and I'm also about like quality stuff. I'm glad that we were able to get an endowment from a personal donor. For the next 3 years, we'll get $15,000. That has helped me pay our young people in our community who love doing this work. They really do. If you just give them a chance, they'll do it, and you let them just do what they need to do.
Have you all ever considered partnering with Youth Build, Louisville?
We've thought about that. I'm doing Summer Works first.
Okay.
I'll do Youth Build next because I really want to be able to be free with how we educate them as well. So like the young boys that we have now, like our 14-year-old is really our project manager, and that's just how he is.
Right.
And I'm just letting him do that. Like he keeps me on task.
Right.
This is how we're going to do this here. I'm like, okay, that's fine.
Right.
I agree.
There we go.
You feel me? So we pay them some money. I've given them like money to get like clothes so they can wear, especially since it's getting cold. they and it's by Shawnee Cultural Center, so we want to make sure we have a partnership with them. A lot of the kids have already come by, and they make sure they take care of the house. The community makes sure they take care of the house. The first day we was out there, everybody was claiming the house like it was theirs.
Right.
They even claimed the dumpster. We was like, we want people to throw the trash away.
I keep hearing you say the house. So you are all currently only have one house that you?
No, we have 5.
5.
We're in possession of 2, and we take care of 2. We're just waiting for the papers to flip over.
Okay.
One organizer has 2. Somebody gave him a house, and one that we're really looking at like how we can obtain the house ourselves.
Okay.
And then we bought 2.
Okay.
One's on Burnett, and it's the one I'm talking about is 37th Street house.
Okay.
The one we're gonna give to the mama.
Well, I think this may be a good point in time in the show. Haven has let me know that there's an anonymous donor who is seeking to donate an additional house to Black Lives Matter. So I think that's some exciting news to share with our viewers and with all of the Black Lives Matter followers. And this is, of course, like you said, there's always paperwork and things that go along with it. But hopefully, if everything is cleared and everything is able to go through, there will be an additional house that Black Lives Matter can add to their portfolio.
Yes.
How about that? How about that? And we have a presentation box here, which is also serving as our donation box.
I even tried it.
In addition to the 15% of all proceeds that's going.
It's a real key.
Yes, this is the key to the house that we have from an anonymous donor who's going to be
on behalf of Main Event Sports.
On behalf of Main Event Sports.
Come on,
and
y'all.
congratulations to the Black Lives Matter Housing Initiative. This is a major move here. And anybody out there, if you have properties that you're looking to get out of the game, and you can find it in your heart to where one of your properties you feel would be better served by donating it to this cause, please consider that. I know there are a lot of organizations out here that are asking for property donations, but please let Black Lives Matter, because a lot of people may not have known that Black Lives Matter had a housing initiative. But let this serve as full notice that there is a housing initiative associated with Black Lives Matter, and they are open to all donations in terms of time, in terms of property, and in terms of resources.
And treasure.
And money, of course, which we have a donation box here. Anybody walking outside that hears under the sound of my voice, as they say, please feel free to stop in and drop something in the donation box. And also to purchase something, because 15% of all of the proceeds collected tonight are going to the Black Lives Matter Housing Initiative.
Also, the little fine print, we do have lawyers. We have plenty of lawyers, and they love us. Our lawyer is leaving now. Maureen, where are you going? You already done?
Yeah, there's lawyer right there.
There's one of the lawyers. And thank you all for everyone that turned out tonight. We had a very wonderful crowd. It is live in here tonight at Tunaville Deli.
What?
They got fights to fight.
We got fights to fight. Hey, she don't play.
Look, Warriors got to get their sleep.
They do got to get their sleep. We also have real estate agents who love us. Like one of our real estate agents just had a baby girl, 10 pounds, and then came out to come. Yes, she did. Marty, I am so sorry that I told that. But came out and helped us look at another house, and I was just like, Mari, and she was like, I love you. I was like, okay, but we could have did like Zoom or something. Facebook Messenger. And then we just got another real estate agent that just signed on that's willing to do all the work for free in true fashion of reparations, and has been looking up houses for us already.
That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. This is a real movement. We are partnering with other folks in the community who are not developers, because this is not a free-for-all for West Louisville. West Louisville is a cultural hub for us, and a lot of us, especially my generation, are tired of being displaced, and we don't have time for displacement anymore. Love your people out in Beecher, because they're being terrorized right now by the Louisville Housing Authority. And understand this, for everybody who, once Big Mama passes away, the first thing you want to do is sell that house so you can go get you a new car and go get you some new rims or whatever you're preferring to do with that money. Stay mindful of the fact that you have a house, a property that can be managed, if managed properly, can become a legacy within your family. Stop turning your property over the very minute that that the elders in your family pass away, because that's how we're losing ground. And understand how important it is to have something to pass along generations. Keep those properties. Keep those properties. Everybody's got their eyes on the West End now because they're building an office space and they're building a gym. All of a sudden now people want to look at the West End.
Hey.
And that the property value is supposed to shoot up. Well, guess what? That also means that the offers are going to start shooting up and they're going to start coming from your property. Be patient, be steadfast, and be mindful of what you have. Okay, there's nothing like ownership. Okay,
Hey.
We're too quick to want to rent and give away what we have. Let's stop doing that, folks. Let's stop doing that. Hold on to these properties. Put something in. If anything, get an equity loan and rehab the house and live in it yourself. Okay, we can own our own neighborhoods. We can own our own. Listen, let's start keeping this money in the neighborhoods. We have to start doing that and take that more serious. It's very important.
And what was that point? Oh, what home ownership does. So the reason why, we have 6 different programs, because people are always giving us ideas. Of course, we said the youth homes, emergency housing, definitely just giving the house away. And I know so many people got so upset by that. We don't even care. Definitely having homes that people who are on Section 8 with these vouchers, they go through a home ownership program, and then they have it. He's doing some sign language that I don't know. But yeah, there's also people who want to have a low cost mortgage, something like $200 a month, so they can build up their credit. It's not only just about wealth; it's also about political power. We need to understand how things are made and decisions are made. So when people are "Oh, you don't vote, it doesn't matter," incorrect. When you don't have power, that's when things aren't made, and that's when things get all messed up. So having property means you have a larger stake in what needs to happen. You can just walk up and say whatever you need to say. You can do it any other time, but if you have property in a certain place, you are your representative is accountable to you. Your council person is accountable to you. Your House representative, your Senate representative, even at the federal level, they are accountable to you because you own stake in it.
Because otherwise, you're just a tenant. Now, this is something that I brought to the attention of a few people over the past several months. With tax time coming up, I said, let's imagine this. Let's imagine there's a block in any given section of the city where houses range from between $50,000 and $60,000. And if every tenant on that block, or let's say 10 tenants, just to make it round numbers, decided, okay, the 10 of us, we're going to pool our money when we get our tax returns this year.
Hey.
And we're going to start purchasing these houses that we live in one by one. One by one. Okay, so let's say there's 10 people, $7,000 a piece. That's the average tax return. $70,000. Within 10 years, you could have 10 homeowners. When typically it takes 30 years to pay off a house.
How many people you say?
I said 7. I'm sorry, 7 people.
Just 7.
Yeah, 7 people. If you pulled your tax returns, because this is money that we get, that we say, okay, I got $7,000, I got $10,000. It's not enough to buy a house. It's not enough to buy a brand new car. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to blow it. I'm going to just buy the stuff that I deal without all year.
So let's say, and then you can put any money.
You can put everybody's name can go on the deed so that nobody can pull any shady moves. And then at the end of that 10-year run, you can divide the deeds up, or you can change the deed. You can update the deeds so that the person who actually lives in that house can take ownership of it.
Hey,
people, we got to start thinking outside the box in order to start getting different results. That's just the bottom line to it. But as she is speaking on, property ownership makes a huge difference because now you're no longer a tenant, you're an owner. Okay, understand what that means. Do some research just on that alone. The difference between being a tenant and an owner.
And I know something that somebody else brought up, because you don't get caught up in the comments when you're doing this work. You can get really emotional and everything. You want to argue with people, but Facebook is not where shit's going to get changed at. So somebody was on the initial post that came out, and was just like, why would I do that? Because there's nowhere to get any goods in West Louisville. That is done on purpose. We are in a shopping apartheid. We are in a food apartheid. We are in a resource apartheid. There's one place that you can go to get functional goods to build on your home. What is it, Ace? And that's barely, it's barely up to par. It's definitely not a Home Depot. And we have smaller houseware places there. You really can't get any sustainable clothes. We have really cheap clothing, and then they just spread everything with these Family Dollars and stuff. And that happens because we're in a renter's economy. Renter's economy knows that they're going to spend at least 80% of their income on housing, just keeping housing up.
Right.
And then the rest of it is going to making sure they can go get food and other things. You're not going to give people sustainable stuff if they don't have the money. So now we have to traverse all the way to Indiana or all the way out east or all the way out south just to get goods and services.
Right.
The more homeowners you have, the more people are going to invest into the community with their businesses. That's why people are not there. People always want to be like, oh, because people are going to steal. It has nothing to do why we don't have those stores there. It has to do with because we don't have homeowners, and majority homeowners in West Louisville.
Right. And that's why I said look up the difference between being a tenant and being an owner. There's a lot that goes along with that, and we have to be more serious about home ownership.
Man, there we go.
We do. Why was you so quiet?
Hey, I'm letting you guys go ahead and just say everything you need to say. You guys said it all.
He's thinking about writing that next hit. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Howard Hewitt.
You're killing me, son. You're killing me. But no, you guys said everything. As a West Louisville resident, as a guy who's been in the streets.
A Russell resident. Let's be clear.
West Louisville, Russell, same difference.
The main place of gentrification right now.
We are well. Actually, it's still Smoketown. Let's just say Smoketown's like already gentrified.
Already, it was a white woman running with a dog. I seen her.
Hey, when there's a Starbucks coming, it's over. It's a wrap.
No, cupcake shops.
When they get a Starbucks
next to yoga stores, like when you
y'all silly.
When you see yoga pants stores, it's a wrap. It's over. You've been gentrified for real. So Russell's not quite there.
Hey, but y'all look now. I've made this statement before as well because I bring my people to task because I'm going to get a lot of negative feedback about this because to me, when you look at gentrification in some light, I look at it how we've been sitting on a lot of these neighborhoods for generations.
Hey.
So where are the black entrepreneurs at in terms of gentrification?
Hey.
Gentrification is not limited to any particular person. We can gentrify our own neighborhoods. But we have to become serious about doing that kind of stuff. And first of all, we have to take notice of the fact that the opportunity is there. So in a sense, I don't necessarily have a problem with somebody taking advantage of an opportunity. And that is just the business mind in me speaking. Because those same opportunities can be available to us. We have a lot of black mega millionaires in the city of Louisville. Where are they at? Why haven't they come down to roll out the carpet to do this?
Okay, exactly. But
so I'm calling out everybody about this because, listen, this whole paradigm is unbalanced in a lot of ways.
Okay.
But we can't just sit here and point at one direction. We have to look at every angle of it because, again, we have a lot of black dollars that could be going down here, and they could gentrify these neighborhoods in a way that favors the people who already live there.
But what we don't want to use is the word gentrify because that's not for black people. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, we can use the word gentrify to make like a buck off everything. But gentrification is really about spatial deconcentration.
I understand that.
But again, understand what spatial deconcentration
in order for people to understand the angle that I'm putting on it, I'm saying we can do this ourselves.
We can reinvent our neighborhoods.
We can reinvent our neighborhoods if that's the term we want to use, but we can't sit on them and do nothing forever and then get upset the minute somebody steps in and wants to plant a tree. We can't do that.
Let's put on the spot. What's that lady down there right across from Beecher with the church? And she has the business, the little store. Oh my gosh, yeah, my words. Is that her name?
Yeah,
she got the church, and then she got the business spot.
Yeah, where she's building
for businesses, to get in there.
Yeah, where she's building the Molo Village.
Yes.
You heard Molo Village.
I have not.
He knows.
So on the corner of 13th and Jefferson,
yes.
They're building a Molo Village.
13th. Okay.
Jametta Ferguson is
right before you go into the bad out where LCCC is. Okay.
Yeah. So Jametta Ferguson is building a which is called Molo Village, which is like West Louisville's first speculative office building in like my lifetime. I'm 45 years old.
Hey.
Something crazy. Literally something crazy like that.
Black owned though.
Black owned. And she's looking for tenants. I know she has a couple of tenants right now.
Okay.
But she needs like 2 more, I think, to the.
How many office spaces does she have?
She has like.
Are these storefronts or office spaces?
Both. They're both. It can be whatever you need to be.
So the bottom is storefronts.
Yeah.
The top is like 2 stories. So the bottom's gonna be storefronts. The top is going to be office space.
And is this a building that's been constructed or under construction?
It's being constructed.
It's being constructed.
Constructed.
So she's still looking for like her tenants and investors.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, being constructed.
Duly noted.
I know she got her last round of funding.
We need to be calling accountability.
Yeah,
right.
We're talking about the mega millionaires.
Yeah, so I know she got her last round of funding, and I know she's looking for maybe like 1 or 2 more tenants to kind of move in to make it a go. So, hey, if anybody's interested, leave a comment below on the YouTube page or on Facebook Live on the Main Event Facebook page, and we'll get her information. If you want to be a tenant, if you're looking to invest or move in, hey, come on and do it. And do it, because right now, look, you get properties right now, houses in West Louisville for $1, for $5,000.
Well, let's be clear on that, because the city's being real cute with that. So
no. I've been clear on it. I've told people it's a setup. Be careful with that. Very careful.
Because they want you to have the full rental budget in a bank account. So you can get it for $1, but you can also get it for $500. But you got to have like $50,000, $30,000. Even some of these are like $20,000 in a bank account already. So that means the people who live next door to these, vacant abandoned houses probably been taken care of, and then had the nerve to tell somebody they needed to have a receipt for cutting the grass. For how much for a gas can to go cut it?
Well, that's because when the city goes by and cuts the grass, they charge the owner upwards of $250, even if it's a patch of grass the size of a 10 by 10 cubicle. Don't ask me how I know that, but trust me, I know.
He knows.
He knows.
But so anyway, the city will give it to you for $1 with no questions asked.
So they can have somebody to start tacking fines onto. That's why they want you to take that house for $1.
Yeah.
If they like you.
Right.
If they like you, yes. If they
don't like you, you got a whole lot of paperwork for that $1 house.
It's a ton of paperwork.
And a whole lot of money for that $1 house.
I don't even like writing.
But people, here's the thing. Learn the game, play by the rules, and then
make your own rules.
You make your own rules. And again, I'm going to keep calling out everybody who sits back and watches this unfold, but don't want to step in and do their part. Anybody can buy these properties. Anybody can take ownership of properties. Anybody can take and go in and buy up blocks that are being sold for dirt cheap. So don't overlook these opportunities. Instead of sitting back, as I say, don't hate, take notes. Okay, don't hate, take notes.
Because these developers are sending letters out to people's homes.
Very quickly.
These people that live right next door to you with these vacant homes.
Very
Just
quickly.
hit them up and be like, look, I know you don't want to take care of the property. We can take care of the property.
I'll buy it off
Property
of you.
management is something that's very it may not be easily attainable, but you can find folks that can actually, hey, he said he'll buy them from you. We'll figure out how to buy them from you. We'll figure out how to fix them up. Demo hurts. I got tennis elbow from it. My elbow's messed up.
Hey, but make that happen. make that happen. But you know what? I want to thank everybody for tuning in.
Everybody who came out. Thank you all for attending. And thank you all for supporting this cause and for supporting this fundraiser. This has been an excellent event. We really appreciate everybody who participated. Thank you to Chanel Helms and Black Lives Matter Louisville for coming out.
And putting in work.
Putting in
real work. Not that fake. I'm going to stand up and pray the corner of 18th and Broadway for 2 years.
Thank you for all of our U of L fans who came out.
My money
UK fans, you too. We won't leave you out, but shout out to our Louisville fans.
Shout out to Western Kentucky.
Western Kentucky in the house. Our Hilltoppers.
Shout out to
I'm a Hilltopper.
Shout out to the Dun Dolphins.
My Hilltopper.
The greatest cross-country team ever to hit elementary school.
There it is.
Okay, Dolphins. Yay, Dolphins.
And the great coach right here. Mr. Ryan, come over here for a second. We'll put Ryan on there before we go. Come this way. Go like around the table.
Because y'all got all these contraptions.
Yeah, we got these contraptions.
Booby trap.
It is booby trapped.
Where's the donation box?
Right here.
Right, yay. Come on, Mom. Yay, Mom. Thank you, Mom.
We'll get Michael Jones up here, too.
From what I was told, it's on Reverend Lewis Coleman Jr. Parkway.
So we got Mr. Ryan up here done.
914 Lewis Coleman.
Good evening.
Okay,
this microphone's a little different. What's that?
Before we go, give some words of encouragement.
Words of encouragement.
Yes.
Well, so my life is pretty simple. Every day I get up, consider it a gift, and everybody I come across, we're all God's children, meant to shine as children do and play and love each other as children do. I've dedicated my life to children, and so I look at the world like that. And it's actually, I guess, a year ago today I got baptized. So
excellent.
What anniversary for me?
Welcome to the family.
Thank you. So, but I know it sounds goofy, but I've always thought that. And I don't know if you ever seen Ian Humphrey's speech. A guy named Ian Humphrey. He's got something on GoCast called "It's a Great Day to Be Alive," and if you watch that, even your roughest day, you're like, you know what? It is a great day to be alive. But
Hey, there we go.
Just love.
There it
love,
is.
love.
Excellent.
That's
Thank you
right.
very much
You're
for
very
those
welcome.
kind words and those words
And
of
of
encouragement.
course, I give a shout out to my cross country squad. So
There it is.
Five state championships in the last
Wow.
7 years.
There you
Wow.
go.
They do all right. So
Wow.
anyway,
Who's our next guest up, Haven?
Michael Jones, much more
Mike
interesting
Jones.
to me.
Come on.
Mike Jones.
Jones.
Mike Jones.
I tell you what. Come on, up,
Mike Jones.
Come on
If
up.
you don't know who Mike Jones is
Mike
one of
Jones.
the best black journalists in the city of Louisville and in the state of Kentucky.
And the
Let's be
greatest jug
clear.
band enthusiast.
Let's be
Jug band.
clear.
Tell us what a jug band. A jug band.
A jug band, you can have a symphony orchestra. If you have somebody playing the jug, you got a jug band.
Hey,
But jug band music can be traced all the way back to Africa, to Nigeria. So,
Excellent. Excellent. And we're talking about having a jug band
Your head is-
fundraiser here at the Tunaville Deli, correct?
yes.
We're talking about having a jug band, so we're going to set that up and let you all know when that's coming.
Yeah.
We're going to have a jug band event here as a fundraiser.
okay.
All right.
Yes.
So
it's
does
a
jug
history
band,
of Louisville.
does
It's Black
jug
history
band
of
have,
Louisville.
do jug
Black
bands have
Louisville
a large presence here in Louisville?
Not really anymore. We do have a jug band festival every September.
Okay.
But most people think a jug playing is like a mountain thing. But the first jug
Yeah,
bands
honestly,
were
that's the first thing that came to mind.
Yeah,
First thing.
But
We
the
don't know
first
your history.
jug bands were actually black street musicians, because when the slaves, they didn't have home like made instruments. They had to
Come on, Mike
make their
Jones.
own instruments,
Excellent.
and so there was just a tradition from West Africa and Nigeria of blowing. It could go back to the beginning of time. You blowing into a bottle to make sound,
Right.
you know, but it was part of ritual, and most people don't realize the banjo came from Africa too.
Oh,
Did not
And
know
so
that. I
the
thought it
two-
came
that's why
from
the two of them-
Fern Valley.
don't you?
Yeah.
No lie.
I'm about old enough for that.
Haven is old.
So we celebrate the heritage, and there's actually one of the pioneers, Earl McDonald. He's buried in Louisville Cemetery near St. X, you know, and he was in the unmarked grave, and we actually helped get a gravestone for him.
Wow.
And Sarah
on,
Martin,
history.
who's a blues
Louisville
singer,
history.
who at one time was the highest paid African American performer in America, and she is buried in an unmarked grave here.
Wow.
Hold on.
So tell us who you're here tonight representing.
Oh, I'm with Insider Louisville, and as Chanel said earlier, we were the first ones to write about the housing.
Wow,
story.
excellent.
But before you go, plug your book, man. You got to plug the book.
Okay.
There's a book. Wait a minute. There's a
I should
book.
have brought
Hold
a
up.
copy. It's called Louisville Jug Music from Earl McDonald to the National Jubilee.
Wow. So
You
jug
get it on
music, it's a
Amazon.
thing. Trust us, it's a thing.
It's a thing. Hey, Amazon.
It's a black
Get the
thing.
book.
Yeah, thing. It's a black thing. Black.
That's right. Like turntables and breakdancing.
No.
That's what we do. Hey, it's
Jug.
Hip hop
Hey.
might be actually
I'm
related, or the beatboxing.
there you go.
Oh, okay, that's a nice
Yes.
tie-in. Beatboxing and jug. Hey,
Yes.
I like it.
There you go.
it.
Shit, bam.
Oh, that would be dope.
That would be dope. But beatboxing, jug. Hey.
We're gonna do that.
So for the fundraiser, are we gonna have some jug band crews here? Well, I mean,
I
Yes.
could bring a jug band.
We gotta have.
we gotta have a jug band. I mean, if we're gonna have a fundraiser, we gotta have a jug band, right?
Dance.
I'll
Hey.
get the Juggernaut Jug Band.
I mean, what's a jug band fundraiser without a jug band? Come on.
Hey,
I can
we gonna
beatbox.
get it.
All right, well, look, we're gonna have a jug band versus beatboxing smash off. Look, I just called it. There it is.
With the DJ, scratch.
Yo, why not? Why not?
Yes, with the D boys. Yes.
Yo, oh my gosh, we're gonna have a battle, a
You
jug
can do
band
karaoke.
beatbox battle. And Howard Hewitt is gonna be our guest.
Along with Joe LaVerse Jr.
Baby Gerald Levert, that's what they call me. Look, we really appreciate you for coming out, man. But we're very serious about this fundraiser. Very serious. Again, if you have an organization, every Monday night during our podcast at the Tunaville Deli is an opportunity for your organization to host a fundraiser. 50% of all
15, man,
proceeds.
15. Going too far.
15% of all proceeds. I thought I said 15. I'm
You
sorry.
said 50, man. It's like,
Are given back to your organization for everything that's purchased during our podcast. So please feel free to contact us. Drop a line in the comments if you're interested, and we'll set it up for you.
Peace.
That was great. We'll see you next time, next Monday. Thank you.